Welcome to Personal Finance Lab. This tutorial will show you how to create your class, add assignments for your students to complete, and view all the reports you need to follow your class throughout the semester. First, an overview of how the program works. Your first step will be to create your class. Your class will define things like the dates that your students can join your class, how much cash you want to give them for their virtual portfolios, and some structured rules on how they can be trading and managing their portfolios. Once your class is set up, the next step is adding an assignment. Assignments are a list of tasks that you can give your students that have specific due dates, completion percentages, and much more. Once your students have actually joined and have started trading and managing their assignments, you can view your reports, see class rankings, and much more. Your class is going to be more engaged than ever. The platform is extremely flexible. We have classes teaching personal finance, economics, accounting, management, marketing, mathematics, and social studies, among other subjects being used all at the same time. Let's cover what it actually means to set up your class. When you set up your class, you're actually going to be picking the class rules. This is going to be things like the dates that your students can register, the dates that they can make their first trades, and even some more structured rules. You can place these kinds of rules to make sure your students aren't just given a pile of cash and can do whatever they like. This will give them a more structured approach where they can actually learn what they're doing step by step. Once your class ends, it means your students can no longer trade and their portfolios will be frozen. However, your students can still log in, and if you have reading or other activities, they can still complete progress in their assignments. They can also view their portfolios as it was on the last day of the challenge, which is extremely useful if you have your students completing any kind of summary reports they need in the class. Let's take a look at what it means to actually set up your class. If you're logging into your teacher account for the first time, you might be taken directly to the class creation page. If not, all of your teacher tools are up at the top left of the page where it says Administration. To create your first class, go to Create Challenge. The first step is creating a name. This will just be a description name for your class, which is only really important if you're running more than one class and your students might need to choose between them. Next is the description. The description will appear on the class registration page for your students when they first log in. This is to help them make sure they're joining the correct class. Finally, your estimated number of participants. This doesn't affect your class in any way, but if you're pairing your students in groups of 2 or 3, please put the actual number of students in your class. This gives us some idea of how many students are using the platform each semester. Next, you can set whether your contest is public or private. Again, this won't affect you too much unless you're running multiple classes. If you do have multiple classes using the platform at the same time, we recommend setting it to private, which will let you put a password on your contest. Then you can give each one of your classes a different password so you can make sure no students accidentally join the wrong class. Now we'll actually set some of the rules for your students who are joining your class. First, set the currency of the portfolio. In most cases, you'll be using the same currency that your country is in, most likely the United States, but you do have the option of over 30 different currencies from around the world. Next, choose how much cash you want to give your students to start with. Most high school classes are comfortable between $25,000 and $100,000, but some classes like to go up to $1 million to give their students a lot of cash to play around with. Next, choose a benchmark index. This will be what your students can compare their portfolio against, besides all the other students in the class. We recommend the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500. The returns of each index that you choose is going to appear next to your student's portfolio whenever they log in. Next, choose your registration dates. Between these dates, your students can join your class, meaning they can pick their username and log in for the first time. We recommend having this go for the first 2 or 3 weeks of your class. You can always extend it later if you have someone join your class later. Then you choose your trading start and end dates. This is the dates where your students' portfolios will be active and they can start placing trades. Before the trading start date, your students won't be able to make their first trade. After the trading end date, your students' portfolios are frozen and they can't place any additional trades. Next, choose if you want to allow your students to short sell, day trade, or buy on margin. Short selling means that they can profit when a stock's price goes down. This is a common practice among investors, but it might be a little bit advanced depending on the level of class that you're teaching. Day trading means allowing your students to buy and sell the same stock in the same day. Many classes like to discourage day trading, but if you want to get your students extremely excited and involved, you can allow day trading to let them trade more often. Allow buy on a margin means letting your students to borrow money. This means that if you start with $100,000, for example, your students can use $100,000 in cash and then borrow up to $100,000 in extra currency in order to keep trading. If students borrow money, they'll be charged an interest rate on any amount that they borrow. We can set what that interest rate is going to be later. You can also set if you as the teacher are going to appear in the class rankings. If you plan on managing a portfolio and then competing against the students, you can say yes. If you don't plan on managing a portfolio, you can click no to make sure your account never appears in the rankings. Next, set a minimum stock price for buying. Most classes are safe with a $5 minimum stock price that bars students from trading penny stocks. You can do the same thing for short selling. If you've already turned off short selling above, this rule won't do anything. Next, we want to pick what security types your students can trade. Equities include stocks and ETFs, a basic stock brokerage account. You can also set the commissions that your students are charged every time they trade, which can be once per trade, once per share, or as a percentage total of the trade. You can also set a position limit. A position limit forces your students to diversify. For example, with a 25% position limit, students will need to hold at least 4 holdings to use all of their cash because they won't be able to put all of their cash into one single stock. You can then choose any other security types you want your students to trade, for example, options, mutual funds, and bonds. Keep in mind that you can always change these rules later. So for example, many teachers like to start their class just with equities and mutual funds. But as the semester rolls on and you cover more topics in your class, you might enable bonds trading, or at the end of the class, just for fun, you can let your students trade options and even spots, which includes the currencies and commodities. Personal Finance Lab also supports international trading on over 30 exchanges around the world. So if you want your students to get a bit of an international flavor, you can enable some of these other countries to let them start trading. If you have a class prize for your contest, we recommend only using the United States, however. The North American exchanges, except for Toronto, trade on real time, while almost every other exchange trades with some kind of delay. This means if you're using delayed data, students can use any real-time data they can find somewhere else on the internet and trade and get an unfair advantage. But if you're not offering any kind of cash prize or extra credit prizes for the winner of the class, we do recommend enabling other exchanges to let your students explore around the world. We also have some a little bit more advanced rules depending on your class. For example, you can give students interest on any cash they're holding. By default, we have a 3% interest earned on any cash balances. Similarly, you can charge interest if students are borrowing any money. By default, we charge 8%, but you can configure this to however you like. You can also change the maximum number of trades that students can place. For example, if you only give them 10 or 20 trades, that would be a buy and hold account, so you need to think through all of their trades very carefully. Personal Finance Lab will let you actually set multiple contests for the same class, so your student can have more than one portfolio at a time. Many teachers like to have one portfolio having students allowed to make 300 trades and a separate portfolio where they can only make 20 trades. That way they have an active investing account and a passive investing account, or a buy and hold account. The last important rule is fill orders on daily volume. This is a realism rule. This means that students can't trade more than this % of what's been trading in the real world for any given day. For example, if a stock is only traded 10 times in a day, with a 50% rule, your students can buy up to 5 shares. The other rules are mostly used for university classes. So if you're using in high school class, you probably won't need to use Sharpe ratio or alpha beta rankings or customize the margins. Once you have your rules set the way you like them, click Create to finalize your class settings. This will take you to a confirmation page. There's 2 important things on this page. The first is this link here. You can send this link to your students in order to get them registered into your class. You don't need to save this page because we'll also send this to you by email, and you can always find this link later from the reports. If your school uses Google Classroom, this button here will let you add your class directly to the classroom. Once your class is set up, the next step is creating an assignment. Assignments are things like watching certain videos, reading articles, participating in some activities, and making certain types of trades in their virtual portfolio. We group all the tasks by subject, so it makes it easy to choose how to get started with your specific class and what your teaching goals are. We also list any national standards that each task might apply to. I'll cover more information about what the standards are once we look at the assignment creation page. Each assignment you create has its own start date and end dates. This means that you can make the assignment available for your students just for particular windows, for example, 1 week or 2 weeks. If they don't complete the assignment in that window, they won't get any credit. Students will also only get credit for one assignment at a time. So if you have multiple assignments set for your students, they can only make progress at one at a time, and they'll have to switch between them to make sure everything is covered. For this reason, we generally recommend teachers don't overlap the due dates of their assignments to make sure their students will always be getting credit for the activities that you assign. Let's take a look at how you can create your first assignment. To add an assignment to your class, go to Administration on the main menu and click Assignments. This will take you to the Assignments administration. First, click Create New Assignment. This will show you everything you need to know to set up your first assignment. The first thing is to set which class you want this assignment to apply to. If you're running more than one class, make sure you're choosing the right one here. Next, give your assignment a name. Frequently, if you're using one assignment per week, which is very common, you'll want to set the week name as the assignment name. Finally, choose your assignment start and end dates. This is going to be the due dates for your student. They won't be able to see it outside of these dates or make any progress before and after. Next, choose which tasks you want your students to complete. We've grouped all the tasks together in a way that makes sense for each class. For example, the stock market basics and intermediate investing tips, these include articles and videos that we recommend basically for every single class. That's because these walk through some of the basics a student might need to actually manage their portfolio and cover some of the most basic investing glossary terms they'll know in order to understand what's happening in their portfolio. For example, it starts them out with reading about stocks, how they can get and understand some stock quotes, and what it means to build a diversified portfolio. The intermediate section would include things like how do you trade a bond and how do you do some basic investing research. From here, all the tasks are grouped based on what kind of class that they would apply to. For example, if you're teaching an elementary or middle school class, we have some very basic articles about percentages, fractions, and ratios, and some information about using Excel to track the portfolio. While almost all of our articles are useful for almost any grade level, these might be below the skills already obtained by most high school classes. If you're looking for personal finance, you can find our personal finance articles next. You can see that we also list the national standards. For personal finance, the national standards we base these articles off of are the Jumpstart standards. So for each article, it applies to some standard and it lists which one. So for example, our saving and spending plans article would apply to the savings and spending standards number 1 and 4. Next, we have our economics articles and activities. The economics activities apply to the National Council of Economic Education standards. So for example, the What is Economics applies to standards 1, 3, 7, and 8. Next, we have our business articles. There's going to be about 20 accounting and 10 management and 10 marketing articles by the end of the summer of 2017. These are based on the National Business Educators Association's standards. So for example, the accounting ones will all be prefaced with accounting, so you know that these are accounting articles. Other than just basic articles, under personal finance, we have also items called activities. Currently, most of the activities involve using some of our investing calculators. For example, the Saving to be a Millionaire calculator asks your student to figure out how they can save $1 million by the time they retire at 65 or 70 years old. After you've looked at each subject, the next set of assignments is our Investing 101 course. Whereas all the previous ones were a single article with a single quiz at the end, the Investing 101 course is 10 chapters of 10 topics each. The Investing 101 course probably won't be well suited to be used as part of your actual class time, but we do recommend that you can add this as an extra credit activity that spans your entire class for your students to participate in after school or on their own time. This is a great way for your students to learn more about investing and gives them some great tips on how to manage their portfolio in the long term. Finally, you can see our trading assignments. Our trading assignments include things like trading a certain number of stocks, using limit orders and limit sell orders, trading international stocks, and trading things like derivatives. For each one of these items, you'll select each item that you want to add, along with the number of times you want them to play each kind of trade. Once you have your assignment set the way you like it, just click Create at the top of the page. You'll get a confirmation message saying that your assignment was created successfully. You can then view your assignment using this tab at the middle of the page. For your students, they will also see the assignment as soon as they log in on the right side of the page, listing all the tasks they need to do and a link to actually view the video, article, or trading item that they need to complete. Once your students have joined your class and have started trading, as a teacher you have access to a number of reports to show you what exactly they've been doing. There's two main groups of reports. The first type is the portfolio reports. This will show you the registration data of every student who's joined your class, so you can be able to connect their usernames with their first names and last names. It'll also show you the kinds of trades they've been placing, what their portfolio is doing, your class rankings, and much more. This is what it looks like to view your class portfolio reports. To view your class's portfolio reports, go to Administration at the top of the page and click Reports. You can find a lot of useful information in these reports pages. For example, if you need the links to get your students registered into your class, you can find the registration links on this Summary Reports page. Your summary report will also show you the total number of registrations and activations in your class. An activation is a student who has actually logged in and placed a trade. You can also see the total number of trades that have been placed in your class. If you're running more than one class at a time, you can switch between classes using the drop-down near the top of the page. The next report is called a Rank Report. This will list all the students in your class in order of their current portfolio rankings. It will also list things like their portfolio values and the number of trades they've made. You can click View More to see the actual open positions, transaction histories, account balances, and detailed profit and loss statements for each student. You'll also notice that at the top of each of these reports is this Excel export button. This will download the report you're looking at as a CSV file, which can be opened in Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, or any other spreadsheet program. You'll see this for each individual student, as well as at the top of each report page to get everyone all at once. Using the rank report, you can also do a cash adjustment. This means you can either give or take cash from each student's account. For example, many students use this as a participation bonus. The next report is the historical ranking report. This will show each student's value on any given day of the challenge. So if you want to know what the rankings were as of last Friday, for example, you can always go back in time and select last Friday to see what the rankings were at the end of the day. Next is the registration file. This will list all the students in your class, along with the name, the username, and the email address they used to register. This is useful because you might not necessarily associate each student with the username they picked when they registered, because this is just what they used to log in. But you can see their first and last name. Next, the user accounts report will give you a little bit more detailed information about all their portfolios, including the total number of orders they've placed, the number of trades they've placed this month, and the number of trades they've placed throughout the entire lifetime of their portfolio. You can also see the date of their last trade, their current portfolio value, their buying power, cash balance, and a little bit more information about their portfolio. If you want to export a lot of your information about your class all at once, click this Reports report. This just has 3 buttons. This will let you export all the information for your class all at once into a spreadsheet. So for example, this account statements report will show you every student's transactions, open positions, and account balances all in one report. The historical portfolio values will show your value for every student for every day that your class was running. And you can get smaller versions of each through the export account details, where you can see just the transactions or just the open positions. If you want to see what your class has been doing as a whole, you can also check the top traded securities. The top traded securities will list every single security that's been traded in your class for the date range that you specify, along with the number of different students who've traded the security. This will give you a good idea of what your students are all looking at and what kind of behaviors they're doing as a group. You'll also have a separate group of reports available just for the assignments. Your assignment reports will show every student in your class along with the progress you've made on any assignments that you've created. You'll see both the overall completion and the specific progress that each student's been made on each assignment task that you've created. Here's how you view your assignment reports. To view the report progress of each assignment in your class, go to Administration at the top of the menu and click Assignments. From here, you'll want to view the report card. The report card will list every single student in your class, both with their name and username, their portfolio value, the last time they've logged in, and the completion they've made on the assignment. You can switch which assignment you're looking at using the drop-down at the top of the page. If you click the Details button, you'll see the exact progress that they've made for each item in the assignment. You can also export the details to Excel. This will download a spreadsheet showing every student's name, username, portfolio value, login date, and the completion percentage. When your students first join your class, one of the first things they're going to want to start doing is making some trades. If they want to place their trades, all of the different kinds of trading activities is grouped by security type, so they can trade their stocks and ETFs in one place, their mutual funds and bonds in another place. We also have tutorial videos available just for students that walk through the details of trading each kind of security type, navigating around the site, and much more. Here's what it looks like when your student first logs into the portfolio. For your students to start trading their portfolio, this is where they first start, the dashboard page, where every user arrives when they log in. To make their first trades, they can go to Make a Trade on the main menu and click Trade Stocks ETFs. This takes them to the actual trading page, where they can list every single international exchange that you've allowed in your class. If they're not sure where to start, we have a few places to get trading ideas. First is the popular stocks. These are the most popular stocks trading on our platform on this exchange, and this will be different for each and every exchange in the world. We also list some of the biggest traders today in the actual market. For example, what's happening in the NASDAQ and NYSE exchanges. You can see these are the most commonly traded or the biggest gainers and losers. To help your students get started, we also have this videos page at the top of the page. Each of these covers some of the videos that they need to get started. You can also add these videos as required for your class, so they'll have to watch, for example, the site navigation video, which walks through what each page of the website does, or, under the trading videos, the trading stocks, so they can understand how to place the first stock trades in their portfolio. There's 2 ways for your students to view these videos. By default, you host it on YouTube, but if your school blocks YouTube videos, we also have them alternatively hosted on a website called TeacherTube, where your students can view them regardless of whether or not your school blocks YouTube. Students also have access to a wide range of portfolio tools, including things like a full transaction history, a list of all their historical portfolio values, detailed charts and graphs of their portfolio, and of course, all of the reports that students have available can be exported as a spreadsheet to Excel, Google Sheets, or any other spreadsheet program for analysis or later use. There's also a wide range of research tools built into the platform. For example, if your student wants to do some stock research, all they need to do is look up the stock and they can get detailed quote information, including bid-ask prices, some news about this stock, and much more. They can also see historical prices all the way back to when the stock first IPO'd. This can go back decades for some of the older stocks, or may only cover a few months for a stock that's only been recently released to the public. If they're not sure if they want to buy or sell a stock, we also offer analyst ratings so they can see what the top analysts on Wall Street are saying about every stock. And if you're doing a little bit more detailed research, students have access to all the financial statements, like the balance sheets, income statements, and cash flow statements for every company in the United States. Let's take a look at some of these research tools. All the research tools for the site is hosted in this Quotes tab at the top of the page. This brings students to our Quotes and Research tool. When they first open the page, they can enter any symbol of any stock and they can get a very detailed quote, which will include some charting information about this stock's performance today, over the last 5 days, month, 3 months, or even year, along with some very detailed quote information, like the last price, what did it open at, what is the bid and ask price. Below the detailed quote information, you can also see some of the most commonly cited news stories mentioning this stock. So if a student wants to know why the price is still going up and down, they can click these to see what the latest news stories are. If students want to do a little bit more research, they can click Company. This tab is very useful if a student has heard of this stock but not exactly sure what the company is and what they do. This will list a little bit of information about what this business is, a website to go to the company's website to see what they do, and a little bit of information about the sectors and the industries that they participate in. Students can also see all of the financial statements for this company by clicking Financials at the top of the page. This will let them view the balance sheet, income statement, or cash flow statements for any company in the United States. It can be viewed annually or as a quarterly report. If students want to know what the experts are saying, they can click the Analyst tab. This is what some of the top industry experts are saying about this stock right now. For example, Google is currently a strong buy recommendation. And finally, if they want to do some historical price information, they can click Historical at the top of the page. This will show them historical prices for every stock, going back as far as they like. They can choose the date range they want to view. They can also export this information to be viewed in a spreadsheet by clicking the Download button. For more advanced students, we also have a very powerful charts tool built into the Quotes platform. To get to the most advanced charts view, they can go to the Charts page and click Interactive and Comparative Charts near the bottom of the screen. This will load an extremely detailed charting tool where students can adjust by splits and dividends, or even add other stocks that they want to compare against. They can even add things like moving averages, indicators, and other information to help them make their trading decisions. If you have an investment club or are covering any part of investing in your class, this might be a great tool to cover as part of your curriculum. Our wider range of research tools cover entire financial markets. This is a great place for students to come and find some trading ideas, or they can start browsing by specific sectors if they're not sure what kind of stock they specifically want to look at. For example, they can look at the stocks in the energy sector, or the banking sector, or the retail sector, and get a list of all of the popular stocks in each category. There are two great places your students can go if they need to get some basic trading ideas or some general market information. The first is under Quotes, and they can go to Trading Ideas. This brings us to our Trading Ideas Resources page, where they get a rotating list of some of the most popular stocks on the platform, along with the percentage of what this stock has done today, if it's gone up or down, along with buttons to see all the news, charts, and quotes for each one of these stocks. We also have the same tool available for mutual funds. If they're looking for a little bit more detailed information, we also have the list of the percent gainers for the NASDAQ and NYSE exchanges. Next, if they want a little bit more granular view, they can go back to our Quotes tool and click on the Markets tab. This will take them to an overall market summary of what the stock market has been doing for the last day. If students really want a good idea of what they should be trading, they can check the market movers first. This says the stocks that have been moving the most over the last day. And they can click on the symbol in order to get a full quote and read the news of why this stock has been moving up or down. Alternatively, they can check the Sectors tool. If a student is looking to diversify their portfolio, this is one of the first places to look. This lists all of the major sectors in the economy, and by clicking any one of these links, they can see what the biggest competitors in this field are. For example, under steel, I can see Alcor Steel, Novaspec Steel, and several other steel companies. I can sort this to show me just the top 50 companies, top 100 companies, or every company that participates in this sector. I can also graph these against each other to give a good idea of which stock has been going up or down over time. And then, of course, I can click these links to see some market news and market information about what this company is and why their stock price has been moving. Our main focus for students is making sure they have plenty of opportunities to learn every time they come to the site. The first way students learn is through the assigned reading, videos, and activities that you'll create as part of the assignments tool. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. In addition, there's a whole glossary full of information in the Learn Center. This has over 600 terms. Our glossary has over 600 terms from personal finance, economics, and investing, among other subject areas. So if students see a term that they're not familiar with, they can go to our Learning Center and search for it, and they can probably find whatever they're looking for. We also have a word of the day, which appears on the right side of most pages throughout the site. This is a glossary term we pull at random, so your students can learn a little bit more about investing, personal finance, and economics every time they come to the site. When your students log in, on the right side of the page they can see their word of the day, and they can even cycle through several of these at a time if they want to see a different word if they've seen it before. Most of the resources they'll need to learn something new are in the Learn Center at the top of the page. And again, everything they see on this page is going to be different every time they come. For example, the trending topics is usually a topic from our most basic investing lessons, if it's something we think your students should be learning. Further down the page, they can see some economics topics. These rotate between all of our economics topics every time a student comes to the page. As does our word of the day, which is one of our randomly selected glossary terms, along with some of our other most commonly searched terms. So we also have the same set of articles available for personal finance topics, beginner's help if they want to learn how to start trading in their portfolio, and even some advanced trading strategies. If you want to give your students even more ways to learn, you can add the full Investing 101 course to your class. This is something that your students could take part of outside of a class on their own time, or even as part of any extra time they have during class hours. The Investing 101 course is a full 100 topics covering everything they need to know on how to invest. From the very basics about what is a stock through extremely complex things like using options. The Investing 101 course acts similar to a regular assignment, except for each item covers a full chapter of 10 activities rather than just picking one activity at a time. We recommend adding the Investing 101 course as a separate extra credit or after-school activity for your students to peruse if they're so inclined. Investing 101 is actually a standalone investing course that we've been selling to individuals who would want to learn to invest on their own. We recently integrated it with the Personal Finance Lab platform, so if your students are interested, you can add the full Investing 101 course by going to Investing 101 near the bottom of the Assignments tool and selecting which chapters you'd like them to view. Each of these chapters covers about 10 topics, and each one is going to help your students learn a little bit more about investing and how to manage a portfolio in the long term. While usually the Investing 101 course is not a great fit for part of your everyday teaching activities, it is a great way to get your students more active and involved in learning how to invest a portfolio on their own and long-term investing strategies. Some of the most successful ways we've seen Investing 101 used as an extra credit activity or something that's offered outside of class for students to take part of as homework. Usually it takes students about 1 week to go through each chapter, working through a little bit more than one lesson per day. If you need help with the platform, we have a few great places for you to look. The first place is what we call the admin resources. This has a lot of information that you need to help get started. For example, this is where you can find the teacher user guides, like this recorded webinar, along with specific user guides detailing how to use reports, how to create assignments, and much more in very specific detail. It also includes our library of over 50 lesson plans in investing, economics, personal finance, and math. So if you want some idea of how to integrate the platform into your class activities, you can check out our library of lesson plans to see ways other teachers have already been doing it. It also has a list of our full recommended curriculum. So for example, if you're teaching personal finance the first time and you're not sure where to start, you can check out our list of activities, lessons, and articles that follow a logical sequence and are a great way to kick your class off. Finally, if you want to know what assignments are available but you don't necessarily want to create a new one right now, you can check our full assignment list, which will list every assignment we have available with the links to view them. Here's what our admin resources looks like. To find the admin resources, go to Administration at the top of the page and click Admin Resources, which is the last item on the menu. This will take you to our full library of resources we have available for teachers, including things like our Administrator User Guide, a guide for setting up your class and contest, guides for managing your assignments, different ways you can actually communicate and message your students on the site, details on how the reports worked, class project ideas, and even things like lesson plans and different ways that you can use the platform as part of your class. If you still need more help, you can always contact us. There's a few great ways to contact us. The first is by using a live chat, which you'll find at the bottom of most pages. This will connect you directly to our support team who can answer your questions right away. However, they're only in the office during business hours on the East Coast, so you may miss them. In that case, the best way to get a hold of us is using the Contact Us form. The contact form goes directly to our support desk, and we answer all queries you have within 1 business day. Generally speaking, you'll get a more complete answer if you use the contact form than if you use the live chat or our 1-800 number. But we also do have a 1-800 number available for if you have any quick questions while your class is currently going on. If you have any other concerns, if you need more help, or if you have a suggestion to make the site better, you can use any of these forms to get a hold of our team, and we'll try to make it happen for you. When you're logged into your teacher account, you can usually see this "Click here for live support" button at the bottom of most pages. This will connect you directly to our support team who can answer your questions right away. If our support team is closed, or if your students are the ones having issues, we recommend going to About on the main menu and clicking Contact Us. This will take you to our support contact form. If you need a complete answer and the most detailed response, this is the best way to go. We respond to all inquiries within 1 business day. And by going through this form, we can usually look up your account and give you a more complete answer than any other method. If you do need to contact us right away as an emergency, we also have a 1-800 number available that you can use it during any time. If you do have any other questions or concerns about the platform, we encourage you to reach out to us right away or use this feedback tab to let us know what you think about the platform. We're always looking to improve the platform, and all of our new features come directly from recommendations we get from teachers like you.